The Knowles Science Teaching Foundation was established by Janet H. and C. Harry Knowles in 1999 to increase the number of high-quality high school science and mathematics teachers and ultimately improve math and science education in the United States. At KSTF, we believe that teachers can and should be the primary agents of educational improvement. This belief is woven throughout all aspects of the Foundation's programming, including our Teaching Fellows program, which is what I'll talk about today. I'm going to provide you with a brief overview of the KSTF Teaching Fellows program and the program benefits. I'll also review our eligibility requirements. And lastly, I will review the application process. So let's begin with an overview of the program. From striving to meet the diverse needs of all students, to navigating the challenging political terrain of school systems, to recognizing the important role that education plays in students' opportunities and outcomes, KSTF understands that teaching is critically important, complex, and an intellectually challenging endeavor. The KSTF Teaching Fellows program awards 5-year fellowships to promising early career secondary science and mathematics teachers and supports them in their efforts to improve education in their own classrooms and beyond. Each year, the Foundation awards 35 fellowships to new math and science teachers with great disciplinary knowledge, who possess leadership potential and are committed to becoming great teachers. The program has 3 phases over 5 years. In phase 1, the first 2 years of the program, fellows reflect on and deepen their own disciplinary mathematics or science knowledge. They develop the specialized forms of content knowledge that are needed for teaching, and they use that knowledge to create profound learning opportunities for students. While focusing in these areas, fellows are also supported in becoming a community of inquiry that engages with and as critical friends. And this emphasis on inquiry with others serves as the foundation for teachers leading from the classroom. In the second phase, the 3rd and 4th years of the program, fellows learn increasingly sophisticated ways of examining their classroom cultures and instruction by applying analytical lenses to data that help them see and then increase the learning opportunities being offered to all of their students. In this phase, fellows are supported in bringing their school colleagues into this work by making themselves vulnerable and open to others' perspectives. In the final year of the program, the focus of inquiry shifts from a fellow's classroom to the professional community in which the fellow works. Fellows grapple with their own professional goals and commitments and what it means for them to lead in their context. They learn to understand their school and local community as a system, understand multiple leverage points for change, and experiment with ways to lead those communities toward better outcomes. In some way, what I've described in these first 3 phases is the curriculum of the professional development that we provide. But that curriculum is also built on a cohort model that allows fellows to connect with peers who are at roughly the same point in their teaching careers. The groups that fellows form in their cohorts allow them to experience small learning communities and experiment with various roles teachers might play in those communities. These small learning groups strengthen the connections between our fellows, but also model small peer-led teacher communities in ways that help our teachers reimagine their working relationships in their own high schools. Fellows also have multiple opportunities to work with colleagues beyond their own cohort in special interest groups or regional groups, in groups that are focused on teaching specific disciplinary skills, practices, or concepts, or in groups teaching in similar contexts. For example, fellows who teach in urban schools. We'll talk more about the importance of those working relationships in a bit. I'll talk now about some of the benefits of the Teaching Fellows program. KSTF Teaching Fellows receive a comprehensive array of benefits, which can sometimes be lacking in local schools and districts, including financial support, mentoring and coaching, and membership in a nationwide community of peers. KSTF supports fellows financially by offering grants to cover expenses associated with purchasing classroom materials and engaging in professional development. Additionally, fellows are eligible to request funds to develop and execute leadership activities that have an impact beyond their own classroom. The amounts that we have listed here are what we've offered in the past couple of years. They're annually reviewed by our Board of Trustees and are subject to board approval, but it does reflect what we've been able to offer the last few years, and I think a significant commitment both to classroom materials and professional development for our fellows. Fellows also receive stipends each year. In the summer, each fellow receives $1,200 per month in June, July, and August. The stipend is intended to support fellows to concentrate on reflecting on the past year, preparing for the coming year, and professional development, rather than taking on a part-time job during the summer, as many teachers need to do. In addition, after completing the first year of the fellowship, each fellow receives a $2,000 stipend at the beginning of each academic year. This stipend is intended as a partial reimbursement for tuition and other expenses associated with earning a teaching credential. We recognize that our fellows are highly accomplished and have often made sacrifices, both in money spent on teacher preparation and opportunity costs, by choosing a lower paying profession. These stipends allow them to reduce debts that they may have incurred and reduce the financial burden that teachers often bear, both of which are factors we think that contribute to sustainability in the profession. We value the expertise and knowledge of skillful, experienced teachers, which is why we support our fellows with mentors and coaches. In fact, we recruit staff with significant teaching experience to act as coaches. Our experienced teaching fellows staff, who now have over 130 years of teaching experience, view themselves first and foremost as teachers. And our staff play a significant role as experienced teachers who regularly check in with fellows, support them to plan and reflect on instruction, talk them through challenging professional dilemmas, and support them through personal challenges. Staff observe fellows teach, either virtually or in person, and coach them into improvement in a way that fellows direct. In addition to staff, each team supports fellows with 2 or 3 currently practicing veteran teachers, most of them with over 20 years of experience as both teachers and teacher leaders. These team specialists bring on-the-ground experience and credibility. They attend meetings, support fellows in their inquiry, and provide counsel as true master teachers. KSTF fellows are able to tap into a support network of nearly 300 teachers who are committed to improving science and math education. From in-person conversations that take place at meetings to virtual conversations that take place on our online community, invaluable support for fellows is mere minutes away. Our meetings are an important part of establishing a strong community. And for new fellows, it all begins with orientation in May. The primary goal of this meeting is to help new fellows learn about the culture and norms of the KSTF community that they're joining. Each new cohort spends 2 days in May at the KSTF offices, working with staff to explore the processes and power of practitioner inquiry, learning how to be critical friends to each other and colleagues. Fellows are supported to examine how they think about their specific math or science disciplines, how they think about themselves as learners, and how their already impressive disciplinary knowledge need to be adapted and deepened for the work of teaching. Throughout the meetings, fellows learn about the ways that KSTF support their development as beginning teachers and potential leaders in the profession. For existing fellows and the rest of the community, the KSTF summer meeting is the official start to each fellowship year. The 3-day meeting takes place over the last full weekend in July, usually in Philadelphia. It's a distinctive event that brings together nearly all members of the KSTF community, typically around 250 participants, to interact with, learn from, and provide critical feedback to each other within a variety of settings and structures. All 5 cohorts of teaching fellows attend the meeting, along with senior fellows who are engaged in specific activities related to the meeting, as well as staff and other experts in math and science education. The summer meeting is divided between opportunities for fellows to work within cohorts and opportunities for them to engage with the wider community. In the morning, teaching fellows begin the work of the year aligned with the specific phase of the fellowship that they're in. And then in the afternoon, meeting participants attend their choice of sessions that have been proposed, reviewed, designed, and led by fellows. These sessions may be structured as interactive presentations or a workshop or a collaborative learning group. Fellows who lead these sessions are provided with a coach, a KSTF senior fellow, someone who's completed the Teaching Fellows program, who has also participated in our coaching institute and supports session leaders to establish learning goals and evaluate the effectiveness of their session. Fellows also choose a book to read together each summer and organize a variety of unconference-style discussions about that book throughout the meeting. Finally, fellows have opportunities to organize informal discussions over meals and during meeting breaks that allow them to find common ground, organize working groups, and discuss topics that interest them. In addition to the summer meeting, we bring all members of a cohort together twice a year to meet in person. It's a significant investment, but a crucial piece of our support of beginning teachers. Meeting in person serves several important purposes. First, teacher learning. Our staff plan and implement professional development sessions for fellows that introduce fellows to important new ideas in the fields of math and science education and teacher leadership. Support fellows in considering critically how those ideas make sense in contexts, and equip fellows to plan for implementing changes to their practice as teachers and leaders. These meetings also build a cohort community. While our fellows engage in robust work online, the intense time they spend with one another at meetings, at meals, even socializing late into the night, serve as crucial components of network building. And we explicitly and purposefully use meetings to build that community, helping fellows decide on their cohort norms, giving fellows choices about how their cohort uses its time, providing space for fellows to reflect on how the cohort is working together, even purposefully selecting roommates for the weekends to grow relationships. These meetings also strengthen the close bonds between fellows and staff, and fellows and team specialists. Finally, meetings help us build a sense of professionalism. And while we strive to be careful stewards of KSTF's resources, we also recognize that teachers deserve to be treated like professionals. To that end, we make sure that fellows are treated well. We eat good food together, and we make sure our meeting sites are pleasant places to be and work together. And we also recognize that teachers learn best when they have agency over their own learning. So our staff works closely with fellows as they plan meetings, getting feedback and input about their needs and supporting fellows to own significant portions of meetings as they support one another's work. The sense of community that we foster does require a consistent investment of fellows in one another and of our staff and fellows. Beyond the 3 in-person meetings attended by fellows each year, much of the investment in community building occurs in a virtual space, our online community. We call it Trellis to connote its ability to scaffold growth in teachers. Supported by the use of Google Hangouts, fellows engage with one another through our online community on a regular basis. Before I turn to eligibility and the application process, I wanted to stop for a second and see if there were any questions about the program or about the benefits. We've got, it looks like in addition to Chris, Tayo is on the line as well. And certainly you can just throw a question into the chat box if anything's there, and we'll monitor that and be able to answer your question. Okay. If anything comes up, don't hesitate to throw it in there, and we'll make sure that it gets answered. Okay. Prospective applicants must meet the following eligibility requirements. The fellowship seeks to support individuals who intend to make teaching their primary career. In order to be eligible for the fellowship, applicants must have recent knowledge of the content they intend to teach. Specifically, applicants must have earned a related degree between 2007 and September 1st, 2017. Additionally, applicants must have earned a secondary certification to teach somewhere between January 1st, 2012 and September 1st, 2017, with the goal of teaching full-time in a high school science or mathematics classroom no later than the fall of 2017. Last, the fellowship is intended to support teachers who are in their first or second year of teaching during their first year of the fellowship. That means in order to be eligible, applicants must be entering their first or second year of teaching as the teacher of record, not student teaching, during the 2017-2018 school year. Okay, now I'll talk through the application process. To be considered for a 2017 KSTF Teaching Fellowship, applicants must submit an online application, participate in a phone interview, and participate in selection weekend. As part of the application process, applicants are required to write 3 essays and obtain 3 letters of recommendation describing how they meet each of KSTF's 3 criteria. Each essay should respond to the prompt and provide evidence of your potential to develop in each criterion. The essay should demonstrate your ability to be reflective and should be grounded in your personal experiences. This will allow us to get to know you as an individual and as a teacher. It's important that you be honest and do justice to how you represent yourself by being selective and thorough rather than broad and superficial. We recommend you avoid abstract statements or platitudes about teaching and education, jargon, or educational theories that aren't connected to personal reflection. In other words, we really want to learn about you and how you think about teaching. We encourage you to carefully choose 3 people that have particular insight into your potential to develop in one of each of the 3 areas. You'll want to carefully explain the criterion for which you're asking them to write, share this presentation with them perhaps, and ask them to share their insights with us. We recommend that you make sure your references understand that we're not looking for 3 general letters of recommendation. And I'll say a little more about that when we discuss the criterion. You'll note as well that the application deadline is open. And I'll just explain a little more about that in a second as well. Oops. Following a review of the written applications, semifinalists will be identified. Applicants who are selected as semifinalists will receive an email in mid-December to schedule a phone interview. Phone interviews will begin in January. The phone interview may last approximately 1 hour and is designed to help us learn more about you with respect to our 3 criteria. We may ask about experiences you've written about in your essays, or information contained in your resume, transcripts, or letters of recommendation. If you're selected as a finalist following your phone interview, We will invite you to participate in Selection Weekend, which will take place in Philadelphia on March 3rd and 4th, 2017. The weekend involves participation in a number of activities that will start on Friday at 5 p.m. and continue through Saturday night. Participation in all of the activities for this weekend is mandatory, and none of the activities can be rescheduled. If you can't be available to travel to Philadelphia at KSTF's expense to participate in the entire weekend, you should not submit an application. If you apply and are selected as a finalist, and later that you can't attend the selection weekend, then at that point your application will be declined. Upon submitting an application, applicants will be asked to confirm their availability for 3 mandatory events should they advance in the application process. I'll give you the exact dates and provide a brief overview shortly. It's very important to note that if an applicant knows in advance that she or he cannot attend any of the 3 events, then she or he should not complete an application. The 3 mandatory events are Selection Weekend, which I just mentioned, Orientation, and Summer Meeting. As previously discussed, Selection Weekend is on May 3rd and 4th in Philadelphia. The second mandatory event is Orientation on May 12th and 13th, 2017 at the KSTF office in Morristown, New Jersey. And the third and final mandatory event is the 2017 Summer Meeting, which will take place July 27th through 29th, 2017 in Philadelphia. Each year, we evaluate fellowship applicants with regard to the following selection criteria. Successful fellowship applicants possess the potential to develop the content knowledge needed for teaching, exemplary teaching practices, and the qualities of a teacher leader. The next 3 slides will provide more information on each of those criteria. The first of our criteria is the potential to develop the content knowledge needed for teaching. Exemplary teachers are able to connect their knowledge of their discipline with the learning needs of their students. Content knowledge for teaching is both broad and deep and is organized specifically for the work of teaching. It includes having the ability to transform expert knowledge for novices, anticipate student difficulties, and build on their prior knowledge. Although knowledge of the current state of the discipline is crucial for teachers, the content knowledge needed for teaching depends more upon advanced knowledge of elementary concepts than elementary knowledge of advanced concepts. That being said, we do expect that fellows will have at least a bachelor's degree in a field connected to the subject they intend to teach. This doesn't necessarily mean that if you intend to teach math, for example, that you have a degree in math. Some of our math fellows have degrees in engineering or other related fields. But it does mean that you should have significant depth, breadth, and interconnectedness of knowledge from the coursework that you've taken. When assessing an applicant's potential in this area, we will look at an applicant's response to the essay that addresses the content knowledge needed for teaching and the associated letter of recommendation. Additional potential indicators might be things like grades and content courses, your teaching experience in that discipline, and awards, honors, internships, or other distinctive content-related experiences you've had. I want to raise also the issue of letters of recommendation here to point out that you'll be getting a single letter of recommendation that speaks to your content knowledge needed for teaching. And so as you were thinking about who might best write that particular letter, it would be someone who could speak to your content knowledge for teaching. It's not, we're not looking for generic or all-around letters of recommendation as much as we are somebody who can speak to this particular criteria. Likewise, for the other 2 criteria, you hope to find somebody who can speak to that criteria as related to your experience and skills and potential. The second criterion focuses on an applicant's potential to develop exemplary teaching practices. Outstanding teachers have mastery of a number of professional skills, such as the ability to communicate clearly, work as a team with diverse groups of people, plan, and be flexible. While an applicant's teaching or professional experiences may be limited, we're trying to determine the extent to which an applicant has mastered or is going to be able to master some of the most important skills needed for teaching. We look for indicators like an applicant's reasons for choosing high school science or mathematics teaching, and any efforts that they've made to understand the work of high school teachers. We also consider experiences the applicant has had working with adolescents or with teaching, and what they've learned from those experiences. A lack of experience with either adolescents or teaching does not necessarily make an applicant less competitive, and conversely, experience teaching or participating in teacher preparation programs does not necessarily make an applicant stronger. Rather, we weigh the quality of the insights the applicant has gained against whatever experiences they've had. When assessing an applicant's potential in this area, we will look at the associated essay and letters of recommendation. The third selection criterion is the potential to develop the qualities of a teacher or leader. KSTF is committed to the belief that teachers can and should be change agents in education. KSTF seeks candidates who have developed their capacity for collaborative leadership in previous experiences and demonstrate the propensity to continue to develop them as leaders in and from the classroom. Leadership is displayed in an applicant's manner of personal interactions and experiences. For example, we look for instances when you may have behaved ethically and professionally in a difficult situation, mobilized others in an effort to bring about change, or held positions of responsibility or authority, and or demonstrated initiative. So I'm happy to take some questions now that you might have. Anything come up for you? Okay. Oh, great. That's a great question. So I'm wondering, oh, another good one. So let's talk about the after the 5 years. That's a great question. After 5 years, if a teaching fellow finishes the teaching fellows program, they become senior fellows, and they are now eligible to participate in our senior fellows program. The senior fellows program changes. There's certainly different ways that we support teachers there. Senior fellows don't get together as frequently. They often, if they attend meetings, it's only the summer meeting rather than the fall and the spring. They don't receive the same levels of benefits that teaching fellows do. But what they do have is an opportunity to connect with one another and contribute to a number of projects that we have going on within the Senior Fellows Program, most of them being fellow-led. And so those particular kinds of things might include, for example, we mentioned a coaching institute where senior fellows work with teaching fellows to help them learn from their experience of presenting at summer meeting. Senior fellows are eligible to participate in that, and they actually learn coaching skills that they use in their own schools. We have a journal that fellows run, actually senior fellows run and edit and publish in. We've got a number of other initiatives where senior fellows can continue to contribute back to the Teaching Fellows program and continue to make a difference in their school. So they don't leave. It's sort of, if you finish the Teaching Fellows program, you really are part of our community forever. So some senior fellows are more active and more involved than others, as you might expect. Krista, you asked about graduating in December with a BS in mathematics. Um, so the question is actually, it will depend on. So when you finish with your degree in mathematics, you will not be certified as a teacher. Is that correct? Okay. So your eligibility for this will actually depend on when you earn your teacher certification. So you earn your certification prior to beginning here as a teaching fellow. So if you, I think it's probably pretty unlikely you would be certified as a teacher by September 1st, 2017. And so I'd say probably you would not be eligible that first year. Is your intention to go into a teacher certification program or to earn certification another way? So could you say more what you mean by ARL? It's actually not an acronym, I know. Great, through an alt-cert program. Um, so it really no, that's it's fine. Every state actually uses different terminology. So yes, the opportunities happen each year. So we will we'll have another application process. We'll select a 2018 cohort of fellows, and you'll be able to participate in that each year. The real question, in terms of alternate routes to licensure, are when do you earn certification from the state? Some of those you earn after simply a summer, in which case, for example, like in a actually even state by state, even Teach for America works differently state by state. Um, but if you did have a state certification by September 1st, 2017, you'd be eligible to apply this year. But if your alternative certification doesn't give you certification until summer of 2018, then it would be summer of 2018 that you would be eligible. So it's really just about certification. And to be honest, I think I'll talk about here in an email. It may be that's even more complicated than that, and that you want to send me an email with the details, and I'm happy to kind of talk you through the exact eligibility requirements for that. But the key is about certification date and when you start as a teacher. Perfect. So you can find more information about us. Absolutely. So the summer presentations, I think, is what you're referring to at summer meeting. So actually, how those end up being during the summer, fellows are presenting on work that they've done throughout the entire year. So, for example, you might have a group of fellows who are working on using a particular questioning strategy, maybe the question formulation technique or something like that. And they've been working on it in their classroom and collecting data about it. And what they would do in the summer is they would propose to run a session for other fellows who might come to their session if they're interested in using the question formulation technique as well. Or perhaps they've introduced um, used a particular problem-based learning or a project-based learning set of tools for a physics class, and so they want to share some of the projects that they've developed. So they might do a presentation there as well. So that's the kind of thing that happens at summer meeting. It's a chance for fellows to talk about what they've learned throughout the year and have other fellows learn from that. So that's what happens at summer meeting in terms of the presentations. On our website at kstf.org, you can find a number of things. You can find information about some of the things that our fellows are doing and some of the ways that they've worked at school. You can learn more about our program. You can also register, and you can do that right now today. Our application process is open, and if you go to kstf.org/apply, you can actually register, and that takes just a minute. And what that does is it gets you sort of into the system, and then we can make sure that you have all the information you need. As I sort of described, you can tell that the application is not one that's that you can do super quickly. There are 3 essays, each of which are responding to a prompt. We need a resume and a CV. We have the letters of recommendation, but the registration is easy, and that kind of gets you in the system and gets you started. And so I'd recommend that if this seems at all interesting to you, that you go and do that registration. The other thing you should know is that we're a small family foundation, and so we're not. When you write an email address to apply@kstf.org, it's Megan who's going to answer your questions, and if she needs some more information, she might come to me, and we're happy to answer those questions. We respond quickly. We're not a big group. You're not going to get lost in the crowd. We're happy to help you with anything that you might have around the application or around registration. If you have any technical issues, please let us know. We'll communicate with you quickly and frequently, and we want to make sure that you are able to put your sort of best face forward during the selection process. Any other questions that you have? Well, thank you so much for your time today, and please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks so much for your attendance at the webinar today, and I hope you have a good evening.